guys, welcome to Cosplay Life. I'm Air Bear, and today I'm going to be going over my Rena Rouge cosplay that I wore to Dragon Con. So this is my first time going live, like for real. So if you have any questions, you can leave them in the comment section. I have somebody, my husband, narrating through it. What?
Hello. This is not the first time.
Oh.
It's like the 6th or 7th time.
Well, no,
streaming, man.
It's the second time that I've actually streamed.
Yeah.
Anywho, so we're gonna go from the top and work our way down. So I'm gonna start off with the ears. So for the ears, I cut them out of 5mm thick craft foam, and I used a template that I found online. I use a template that I found online, and I'm going to, sorry, I got distracted. So I used a template that I found online, and I dremeled it to kind of make the edges kind of curved in a little bit, and I also heat formed it to make the edges curve in, kind of like ears. And then to paint it, we use spray paint, and we also use painter's tape to mark off the parts that we didn't want to paint. And then to attach it, I have this headband, and I originally attached it so that it would be removable, but then it just kind of popped off. So I ended up having to permanently glue it on using fabric hot glue while I was at Dragon Con. So it is attached with, it's fabric elastic. I don't really know how to describe it, but that's how it's attached. And it just goes on my head. So those are the ears. And then working our way down, next up we have the wig. I had to twist it because it was getting all tangled earlier today. But this is the wig. So I started off with an all white wig, and then I use synthetic dye to dye it. So I put it into ponytails so that I could keep the ends white, because I wanted the ends to be white and the top to be darker orange. So I gathered the ends, and then I dipped it into the water. The styrofoam top wasn't on it, but I dipped it into the water upside down and just kind of dunked it in, and like dunked it in less every time. And then that's how I got the ombre effect. And then I went back and I added more orange dye, and then I eventually went back and added brown dye to the orange dye bath. And I just did that just on the roots, but you can't really tell. And then for the style, I didn't like Rena Rouge's ponytail hair thing with like the super huge ponytail. I thought it was going to be too heavy and too difficult for me to figure out. So I just did like a kind of jasmine puff sort of style, like ponytail puffs, because I thought it would look cute. So yeah, and I used the Got To Be gel to kind of help hold it, but I haven't done anything to it other than comb it since Dragon Con, so it's a little fluffy. But that is the wig. And let's see. Going down from the wig, next up is the eye mask. I made this out of 2mm thick craft foam. I have a template that I typically use in order to make my mask, and then I just kind of altered it from there. And I added felt to the back of it to kind of prevent my face from leaking all over it. And for painting it, we used painter's tape again, and also spray painted it, and then the black parts I hand painted on. And attached an elastic using, I think that is, what's the name of that glue? Contact cement. Use contact cement to attach the elastics to the side. Ooh. Stretchy. All right, and that is the mask, but the mask actually, it goes on underneath the wig. So like I put my wig cap on, and then I put the mask on, and then I put the wig on top. so that this line doesn't show up. But it is orange, just in case it does show up. Going down from there, this probably doesn't show up like in any of the pictures, but this is the face mask, because when we were at DragonCon, we had to wear a face mask. So I made one that matched my outfit. And I just kind of wish that I had made the line a little bit higher, because where it is, it sits underneath my chin. But that's the face mask. And then going down some more, this is my Miraculous. And then to make this, I use foam clay. I finally figured out how to use foam clay. So for the base of it, I think I used 2mm thick craft foam, and then I put foam clay on top of it. And I wasn't able to Dremel the foam clay, so I just kind of had to smooth it out as best as I can, which is why it's still a little bit lumpy, but I use foam clay. And then to attach it, I had this chain from one of my other cosplays, and I just used pliers to open it, and I used some leftover earrings that I had to attach and glue this little connector piece, like I stabbed it into the foam clay to create a necklace. And to paint it, Ladybug painted it for me. And going down from there, next up is, I have to back up. Next up is the leotard. And for the leotard, I originally made this out of this orange that I got from a fabric store. It wasn't from, it wasn't Joann's. It was like, it was Fine Fabrics, which is a store that we have in Atlanta. So it's just a spandex, or like a performance knit. So I made the whole leotard out of the orange first. And I used, I forgot to grab the pattern. I'm gonna grab the pattern. Won't do that. Let's grab the pattern. This is where I keep my patterns. All right, so to make it, I used this pattern. And I did this little poison ivy one over here. I don't know if you can see any of that. So, yeah, I took that as my base, and then from there I tried on the leotard, and I cut out, or I used a fabric marker while it was on me to trace the line of where the white would go. And then I took it off, and like, I think there was some sort of way that I made it so that it was even on both sides. I think I might have traced it on paper next and then folded it in half so that it was even on both sides. And then it was a lot of folding and a lot of cutting and tracing. So I cut it out of the paper, and then I used that paper template, and I added on 5/8 of an inch. Actually, I didn't. I added on less than that. I added on maybe like 1/4 of an inch seam allowance because I was using the serger. So that's an update. I am using a sewing machine, but I got a serger that I figured out how to use. So I used the serger to make all of this because there were lots of seams. So I used my paper template that I cut from the orange fabric. I added like 1/4 inch seam allowance onto the edge of it, and I cut that out of white. I also had it on this crotch seam down here as well. So I had to take apart that section of the orange leotard, or once I cut it out of this leotard, I had to take that apart and then make patterns for those and cut those out of the white as well. And then put it all back together and sew it into here. And then for the black, I did the same thing where I just kind of tried it on, and I drew a line. It might have went down. Are we still going?
It's still looking good over here.
Okay, cool. Never mind. So I tried it on, and I drew a line on it, and I used that to figure out where the black was going to be. And then I also took a piece of black fabric, folded in half, to figure out how thick I wanted the neck to be. And then for the tail, originally, I wanted a fur tail, but this did not work out very well. I wanted to cut it out of fur, turn it right side out, and then have a whole little tail. But the shape wasn't right, and the size wasn't right, and it didn't look the way I wanted it to look. And I was gonna dye it using the fabric dye, but I didn't use it at all because I also needed to figure out a belt to attach as well. So I didn't do that. I ended up making a fabric tail out of just a piece of fabric. And so for this, I just tried it on. I measured how long I wanted it to be from my waist to the floor. And then I cut that out of paper. Which, like, tip, you should use, or you should save, like if you do Amazon and you get an Amazon package, you should save your Amazon packaging. And you can use the paper, like if they pack it in paper, you can use that to make patterns. So I saved the paper and I used that to make the pattern. That's how I got paper that was so big. Folded in half so it was even. But I did not make this out of orange completely the whole time, or at first. At first, I just made the paper pattern and then cut out where I wanted the white to be on the paper pattern. Added 1/4 inch seam allowance to both of that, or to both sides, like to where the white was going to be and to where the orange was going to be. Sewed them together, sewed the white to the orange, and then sewed the front and the back together. And when you do that, you have to be careful to match up your seams, which I did not there, but you know, no one's going to pay that much attention to it. And then to attach it to the bodysuit, I actually just sewed it on a sewing machine. So, I'm trying to find the top of it. I turned it, so this is the leotard. I just figured out where I wanted it, because so the issue was that I really liked the way that the leotard fit me, and I didn't want to mess it up by taking anything apart or adding a belt or anything. Like, it fit really nicely. And so I just figured out that I could put the tail on there. So I turned it up and then sewed the tail on using the sewing machine, and then it just flips down and it covers it up. And that is Rena Rouge. And to attach it, so again, I liked the way it fit, so I didn't want to add a zipper into it because it fit fine the way it was, but I needed some way to close it. So I hand sewed snaps onto it, which come apart really easily, so it was easy to go to the restroom. But yeah, that is how I made the leotard. And then for the sleeves and the legs, I didn't finish off the hems. I just overlocked it with the serger because it was going to be, this is the leg seam, because it was going to be covered up by gloves and boots. So next up are the gloves. For the gloves, I took black fabric that I got from Joann's. It's like a thicker sort of performance knit that I use a lot. And you just, actually, you know what? I used a pattern for this too. One way you can do it is you can lay down your hand on it and trace your hand out and then cut that out. But I actually used a pattern this time. I don't know why, but I did. And let's see if I can find that pattern. There we go. And I use pattern J for this. And that was how I made gloves. And I actually got the pattern so that like if other people ask me to make gloves for them, I don't have to use my hand because my fingers are kind of long. So using my hand to make their gloves wouldn't work. So if I just have like a generic glove, then that should work for most people. And when I ended up, I don't think I had to alter it at all. So yeah, use that pattern. And I sewed it. I did not serge it. I did serge the end of it, like the cuff of it, because I just didn't want to hem it. Yeah, those are the gloves for Rena Rouge. They go up there. And I also used them for another cosplay that day. And I've seen some people where they will make a cut right here so that on the index finger, so you can slip your finger out and use your touch screen. So those are the gloves. I believe that's oh, nope, that's not everything. The last part was the flute. So for the flute, I printed out a picture of Rena Rouge. These are my pictures. And then I cut out her flute. And I kind of guessed about what size smaller it was, like what it was reduced by. And I think it was 1/7 smaller. So I need to multiply it by 7, I think, something like that. So I took all the lines that were on it, and then I figured out where they would be on here, how many holes there would be. Of course, her hand is covering part of it, so I couldn't get that. And then her flute also has like a part that is wide, like it gets wider in one part. I don't know which side is which. It gets wider somewhere. I didn't include that because I figured I just needed to get it done. Like if I have more time and I remake it, I might do that. But I just need to get it done. To do the holes, Lovebug used, I believe you said you used a Dremel?
Yes.
He used a Dremel with the drill bit on there to make the holes in it. And I marked where the holes were supposed to be. And he also painted it. So we use painter's tape for that as well. And then wasn't there something that you learned about painter's tape? Like you're supposed to remove it while wet?
Yeah, remove it while the paint's still wet, which would explain why I was having so many issues in the past.
So yeah, that was something new that we learned, was remove painter's tape while the paint is still wet. And that helps your lines to be crisp. And I believe that is the last part of this cosplay. And for shoes, I always wear the same shoes I wear all the time, which I got from Goodwill, which I need to replace. But they're just over the knee lace-up boots, like combat boots. They look very cosplay-ish and they match a lot of things. So yeah, that is my Rena Rouge cosplay. If you have any questions about any of the things, unfortunately, when I was making it, I didn't record anything. I just took a couple of pictures of some of this stuff because I was just trying to get through it. It takes longer when you're trying to document it. So we're hoping that if we can get this stream thing going, that we can stream while we're making costumes instead of doing the whole like thing where you have to edit. The goal is to get more videos out to you. But it was just taking a lot with making costumes and editing and working full time. It's difficult to get all of that done. So yeah, we're going to try this and see if this works out a little bit better. So if you have any questions about anything that you saw in this video, leave them in the comment section below. We'll try to answer them. If there is anything else that you want to see, I'm gonna try to talk through all of the cosplays that I did, or at least all the new ones that were interesting. Yeah, I'll try to talk through all the cosplays. So if you have anything specific that you want to see, leave that in the comment section below and we'll see if we can do it. Thank you so much for watching. I will catch you all next time. Thank you for watching. Oh, if you like this video, make sure you hit the thumb to give it a like. Also, if you are not already subscribed, please subscribe, click subscribe, and click the notification bell so you can get notifications every time I put a video out. And other than that, I will catch you all next time.
The stream didn't fall out.
Yay!
We're still streaming. We made it all the way through.
It's our first time being able to make it all the way through without having to restart.
And clearly we don't know what we're doing because I said the stream didn't fall out. I don't even know the technical jargon to explain how excited I am.
So anywho, thank you for watching. Bye! I have to say bye for a long time because if I just hit stop, then it'll stop like midway through. So you can look at Rena Rouge. All of this Rena Rougeness.